Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brendan Griffith, and I'm the Chief of Staff at the New York City Central Labor Council. And I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2024 Workers' Memorial Day Commemoration, organized by the New York Committee for Occupational Safety and Health, NYCOSH, and by the Central Labor Council. This is an annual commemoration where we honor those workers who lost their lives in the course of their work, those workers who woke up and went to work like any other day, trying to support their families, to do their part for their communities, but they did not return home. I'd like us all to remember that Workers' Memorial Day embodies not only an opportunity, as Mother Jones said, to mourn for the dead, but today we will also recommit to fighting like hell for the living. Today is an opportunity to highlight workplace safety and the ways we can and must fight back to keep workers and the public safe. We can all agree that workers need to be trained to do the work they are hired to do effectively, professionally, but most importantly, safely. No one should be allowed to put profit over the safety of people. Our first speaker is from NYCOSH, the New York Committee for Occupational Safety and Health, an organization that every day, through advocacy, through research and education, works with unions, government agencies, and elected officials to make workplaces safe. I'd like to introduce NYCOSH Executive Director, Charlene Obernower. Charlene?
Good afternoon. A worker dies on the job in the United States every 96 minutes. Workers with families, with communities, with names that we will read today. Some names we know, but many we don't. Workers who died due to a senseless act of violence or due to a demand to work faster, faster, faster until that speed led them to their death. Workers who died as young as age 19, like Andy Donaldo Gonzalez Gomez on the streets of New York City as a deliverista. Workers like Bernardo Gomez Perez, age 63, an essential supermarket worker beaten to death just a few years from his retirement. As we read the names, you'll notice many of the workers who were killed were Latinx, and many of whom are new immigrants working to survive. Every year, a disproportionate number of workers killed are immigrants, and Latinx immigrants at that. This year, we will focus on workers killed throughout New York City, but also workers who were killed due to workplace violence. We know that basic protections like education and training for workers, workplace violence prevention plans, and active employer support and engagement are all tools to combat this violence on the job. The RWDSU is here today to speak alongside Workers United, and they have legislation that is going to do just that. The Retail Worker Safety Act is a bill designed off of a similar bill in the public sector that, if passed and made law, will save lives. We're here today because our commitment is to fight for the living. Yes, we mourn for the dead, but any life that's lost is one life too many. Thank you to all of you who are here today. Thank you to our staff, and thank you to all of the unions and worker centers who make this a priority. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you, Charlene. Thank you for your words, and thank you for the work that NYCOSH does every day to keep workers safe. Our next speaker is a true champion of the labor movement, from the labor movement, ensuring that throughout the state of New York, workers' voices are heard. I'd like to introduce New York State Commissioner of Labor, Roberta Reardon. Commissioner Reardon.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Brendan, for that introduction. Before I go on, I'd like to acknowledge some folks here. Vinny Alvarez, the president of the New York Central Labor Council, and a true friend, not just of me, but of all of labor. Charlene Obernower, brilliant speech for the executive director of NYCOSH. Our city council members, Carmen De La Rosa and Julie Menon, are with us today. And last, but certainly not least, all of my brothers and sisters in labor. It is so good to see all of you here today. New York State boasts some of the strongest labor protections, workplace safety laws in the country, and we can be very proud of that. But we can never rest on our laurels, because there's always more work to be done. This past year, we did the new expanded workplace violence prevention law, and this is a great addition to what had already been passed. Since 2009, this law shielded public employees from violence in the workplace, but schools, for some reason, had been exempted from this law. Thanks to our union advocates, the teachers and other advocates out there, and the legislators, the governor and the legislature approved expanding this law in 2023. So here in New York City today, that means all public schools and BOCES are now covered by this Violence Prevention Act. Thank you. This expansion prioritizes the safety of students, teachers, and all of the staff at the schools, and this is a really important expansion of this protection. It is vital for our teachers, vital for the students, and I want to thank the teachers' unions in particular for their incredible work to get this law passed. They did amazing work. Worker safety is in the DNA of the Department of Labor because our founder was Frances Perkins. Many of you see me when we do the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire Memorial every year. Frances Perkins was the first woman on a cabinet for FDR. She was the founder of the New York State Department of Labor, and she was an amazing presence in workers' safety laws across the nation. When she witnessed that Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, it literally changed her life, and she went to work to make sure that workers had safety on the job and that the government could guarantee that. And she established many of the safeguards that protect workers to this day. I continue to look for opportunities to build on her legacy. It is an honor to stand in her place in this agency, and I know that our partners in labor and in government share my commitment to workplace safety today, workplace safety tomorrow, and frankly, workplace safety forever for everyone. Today, I know we honor our families, our friends, our loved ones, and our colleagues who have lost their lives while on the job. Today, I call on all of you to reaffirm your commitment to protecting the lives of all of our precious workers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Reardon. Our next speaker is no stranger to the labor movement, a tremendous advocate that we have in the City Council. As the Committee of Civil Service and Labor Chair, I'd like to introduce New York City Council Member Carmen De La Rosa. Council Member.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank our amazing partners at the CLC and NYCOSH for bringing us together. I want to recognize all the workers that have joined us here today and all of our partners in organized labor who are out here. I won't start mentioning all the names because I'm going to get in trouble, but I want to say that we are so grateful for organized labor today. We are here because we must mourn for the lives lost. We must mourn for the dead, but we must fight like hell for the living. The men and women who leave their homes every morning to provide for their families without a guarantee that they're going to make it back. And unfortunately, too many times, so many of us have heard the stories of workers who leave in the morning and don't make it back. And then families are left to pick up the pieces. Today, we stand with our great commissioner and organized labor because we understand that in order to make sure that we are keeping workers safe, safe conditions must be present at all work sites. You know, the collapse of the Baltimore Bridge made news around the world. Today we also remember those workers, 6 souls who also left their homes in the morning to serve their communities and to provide for their families. 6 immigrant workers at that. And we know that some of the most dangerous industries across the nation, across the country, are industries where workers are oftentimes exploited. They're not always tragedies as it happen in that way. But what we do know is in some of those work sites, there have been a history of exploitation, a history of ignoring all of the red flags that could have kept people safe. When we were going through the pandemic, a lot of us looked at our workplaces as this is an opportunity for change. I think the call to action today, as we remember those we've lost, is to actually look at where change can happen in the workplace so that we never go back to the models where workers are exploited, where salary and wages are continuously stolen, and where their lives are disposable. One worker is out, another worker is in. We must return dignity to workers, and as chair of the Civil Service and Labor Committee, I am committed to work with our partners in organized labor to make sure that we're not only passing legislation and funding mandates that are necessary, but that we're also raising the voices for dignity for workers across our city. So thank you all for being here, and we give this flower in memory of those souls lost and a call to action so that no lives are lost under our watch. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Council Member. And we are very lucky in New York City, which is not an understatement to say is a union town. Am I right? Is New York City a union town?
Yes!
We have a lot of allies in city government and the city council, and I'm very, very proud to introduce Council Member Julie Menon, the chair of the Committee of Consumer and Worker Protection, to come and say a few words. Council Member Menon.
Thank you so much. I want to first of all thank the CLC and NYCOSH, and in particular I want to thank my friend and ally Vinny Alvarez, president of CLC, for all the amazing work he continues to do. And it's great to be here with my colleague, Councilmember De La Rosa. So I was here last year, and in looking out at all of your faces, and we're here obviously for a very, very somber moment, and I do want to say this flower that I'm holding is obviously in memory of those that we have lost. We should not have lost a single life, but we are mourning the loss of so many lives. And if you look at the statistics, last year over 5,486 fatal work-related injuries across the country, according to OSHA. And here in New York City, we know that 83 people lost their lives because of these horrific workplace injuries. And we know that there are so many grieving families. These are obviously not just statistics. These are loved ones who did not return home from work. And it is completely unacceptable. And it is up to city government and state government and federal government to ensure that workers are protected. And you have our assurances on behalf of the City Council that we are there in this fight with you. But today is obviously a day of remembrance. It's a day to honor and remember and reflect upon the lives that have been tragically lost. And so we're here to honor them and honor their dignity and make sure that we put an end to these horrific losses that continue to plague our city. So I'm here in solidarity with all of you and in remembrance for the lives that have been tragically lost.
Thank you, Council Member. And we also know that on the front lines of the battle for safe workplaces are the labor unions that represent over 1 million workers in this city. Our next speaker, Deb Hanna, is the chairperson of the CSCA Metro Region Safety and Health Committee. Deb?
Hello, everybody. I am Deb Hanna. I am the Region 2 Chairperson for Health and Safety. I'm also a member of CSCA's statewide Health and Safety Committee. And on behalf of everyone at CSCA, we did lose members in the last year. There are workers that were CSCA represented that went to work and did not make it home. And so our work and our efforts and our focus continues to ensure that every worker goes to work, they do their job, sometimes happily, sometimes not so happily, but they're doing their job and they go home and they're safe. So we have, in recent times, had some changes that have ensured safety for our workers in our DMV sites. So they are protected when they are having to notify folks in the public they did not do so well on that DMV driving test. So changes like this ensure that worker safety is kept at its forefront, and we continue to ensure everybody goes to work and goes home. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Our next speaker comes from the Retail Action Project. Eno Owatowe is an organizer at RAP RWDSU and is a former vendor sewing specialist at Macy's Herald Square. Eno?
Good afternoon. So every day, I work with non-unionized workers to improve workplace standards for thousands of New Yorkers who work in the retail sector. I joined the Retail Wholesale and Department Store Union, first as a member, because I worked at Macy's with the local 1S. And then I joined the staff of the RWDSU. I'm proud to say that the RWDSU represents workers all over the country. 40,000 of those workers are from New York. I also serve on the board of NYCOSH. I'm very, very proud of them, and I'm proud always to be with them. As you have heard, NYCOSH has for decades fought to expand protections for workers, to protect workers from illnesses, bad workplace conditions, injuries, death. And today, standing with the RWDSU, we join the labor movement all over the world to observe Workers' Memorial Day. Remember all the workers, like you've heard, who left their homes and never got an opportunity to get back to their families. All they wanted to do was to be able to put food on the table, but they never made it back. Remember all the workers who went to work fit and able, only to return with injuries, illnesses, disabled. Remember every worker killed, injured, sick, all those that are documented and many that are not even reported. All of them, we raise a tribute. We don't normally think of retail work as dangerous, supposed to be fashion and fun. But the sad reality is that we have one too many workers die at the hands of an active shooter, or one too many injured at the hands of a violent shopper. I worked in retail for decades, and I recall that in those days, worker harassment, attacks, any such thing was rare, very rare. But today, all you have to do is turn on the news and you hear of all the violence that is happening. Workers being stalked, shoved down a flight of stairs, beat up, spit on by shoppers. You have companies where sales and stock workers are being used as security. No training at all. The situation is much worse than it was, with violence being worse than before the pandemic. Safety standards are at an all-time low. So this year, as we honor the memory of those who have fallen, we use this day to call for action. We have before the state legislature a bill that aims to create stronger protections from workplace violence for all retail workers. It is imperative that New York pass the Retail Worker Safety Act, and now, not later, because every day is delayed, more and more workers are exposed to injuries and maybe death. This law will help ensure that retailers perform the risk assessment needed to better plan for safety measures to protect the workers in their businesses. It will provide adequate training to workers on the violence prevention programs that they have, including de-escalation and other safety techniques. It will also allow retailers to hire and train experienced security staff as they are needed in whatever business locations that they have. We cannot talk about the rise in theft and crime and fail to acknowledge that retailers must do more to support and protect the workers that are on the front lines. And workers, we must continue to rise up. We must continue to fight and organize for better, safer, and healthier work conditions. Until the promise of a safe and healthy workplace is achieved, this fight must continue. We must succeed. We have the power, and together we can make it. So today, as we raise the tributes to the fallen workers and renew this fight for stronger safety and health protections for workers, protections that ensure that workers do not die or get sick just because they go to work. Our deepest condolences go to our families and friends, to our colleagues for all the preventable needless loss of lives to work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eno. And before we go to our next speaker, I do just want to acknowledge the chair of the board of NYCOSH, Jessica Garcia, who is here. Jessica. Our next speaker from Workers United SEIU is Charles Simmons. Charles works at a large pharmacy retail chain in Manhattan, and he's a member of the executive board of the New York, New Jersey Regional Joint Board of Workers United. Charles?
Hello, my name is Charles Simmons. I work in retail. My story is, every day when I get up, my first thing I have to do when I get to work is I have to barricade my store. The way my store is made, I have a two-sided store. One side of the store is the regular side, the other side of the store is where the handicapped can come in. That side of my store is where I keep my merchandise and my lipstick, high-end products. So in order for us to protect that side of the store, we have to barricade that side of the store to keep the thieves from coming in. I've been assaulted. I've had it where I've opened up my store maybe at 7 o'clock. By 7:10, I have a criminal inside my store. The advice that we're giving is that we walk up to them, we give them, offer them any kind of customer service, and try to detail them from a ceiling, let them know that we're at least watching them. I've had it where they've spit at me, spit at my employees. I had a gentleman went out of my store, came back in and confronted me, came in to fight me. I had to actually protect myself, so I had to pick up the newsstand that I had and fight him off me. This was, I opened up the store at 7 o'clock, this was 7:10, that me and him was fighting at the front door as I had customers coming in. My female employees are afraid to come to work. When they're in work, they're terrified. Any kind of criminal thief coming to the store, the first thing they do is they run up to us and say, oh, this person is here, he's there, you need to watch out for him and this and that. I had security for 2 years. They took away my security after 2 years. I had to fight 4 months to maintain security. What the story that they gave me was that I was making money, so I didn't need security. But when I came and asked my manager about security in the beginning, they told me that security was there to protect the workers and to protect me. So then if you're going to come and tell me you're taking away my security because I'm making money, were they there to protect me or were they there to protect the merchandise? When the company was taking over, the first thing they did was to get rid of my LP department. So they fired that whole department that was there to protect us and to protect the merchandise. So I've had situations where my manager was attacked. He went to the back of the store. A gentleman was going through our merchandise and upstairs. He confronted the gentleman, asked him, could you please leave? The gentleman started swinging on him. If he didn't start swinging back, he would have got hurt. I've had employees fired because we protected ourselves. Right? So all we want to do is we want, hopefully, that somebody out there can do something for us to make us feel safe. When we come to work, we don't know what's going to happen. Every day there's going to be an incident. I have at least 12 thieves a day. So when you're dealing with 12 people a day, somewhere along the line there's going to be some kind of confrontation. Okay. So what we're hoping is that we went up to Albany. We were trying to lobby to get this bill that the young lady was just passing through. We're hoping that get through. There was a bill that was presented by the governor about making it where the same thing that happened to transit workers, where you get 7 years for felony crime, what happened to retail workers. That was knocked down. I still don't understand why you would not try to protect us if you know that we're getting threatened every day. Yep. So we're hoping that somewhere out here, somebody will look into what we're going through and try to resolve our problem. Because the problem is getting dangerous every day. Right now, the way I feel that retail working is the third most dangerous job in New York City. I think the police department and the fire department come above us. But the police department is protected. The fire department is giving equipment to protect themselves. We're not giving anything. Every day when I get up, I'm wondering, is this the last day I'm going to be able to have a job? Because if I don't handle the situations correctly, I will get fired. So we're pleading to you, please, somewhere out there, give us a break and help us with this thing, because this is getting worse. And I'm hoping it doesn't get to the point that one of my employees have to get killed on the job in order for us to get any help. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Charles, for sharing your story. And our next speaker is somebody that's very important to me at the New York City Central Labor Council, our president, Vincent Alvarez. Vinny?
Thank you, Brendan. Well, as we come close to the end of the program, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank everybody, of course, for coming out. Thank our electeds for everything, of course, that they do. Our Commissioner of Labor, Roberta Ridden, who is here with us today. Thank you so much. There she is. There's Roberta. We appreciate everything you do, Roberta, on behalf of working people throughout this state. Of course, NYCOSH. The work that they've done over the years has been really so helpful in trying to improve safety and create the level of awareness that we need in the workplace. And to do this every year, of course, we appreciate it. To our staff, Brendan and the entire CLC staff who are out here and put this together too. Let's give NYCOSH and our staff, the CLC, a hand for that. And then to our board members, I know Nancy Hagens was here. There's Nancy. Good to see you, Nancy. It's great from NYSNA, who is here with us today, the president of NYSNA. It's good to see Nancy, and thank you for everything you do. And our former board member, I saw Artie Chiliotis, who was around too from CWA, so it's good to see Artie as well. Let me just say this. We do a lot of events during the course of the year, and we try to do really two things today, and we do it on other days too, where we try to both reaffirm our commitment to advocacy and making sure that we are doing everything we can today to not only acknowledge those who've been injured, those who've died in the workplace, that we remember them today, but that we do everything that we can to prevent those workplace injuries and workplace fatalities in the future. Well, that is what you all do, all the unions who are out here today. We talk about the work that the electeds do. We had the Councilmember Julie Menon and Carmen De La Rosa here earlier. Well, you all are doing that every day in your workplaces, in your collective bargaining agreements, in your relationships, making sure that you're enforcing your contracts to deal with the various workplace injuries and fatalities and other issues that you deal with on a regular basis. We heard Charles just talking about before me about what they're dealing with in the retail sector and how important that is today. And then let's also educate people on the solutions to some of these problems as well, because that is really what's so important. People leave every day, they leave their homes, they go out to work, and they expect to return safely home at the end of the day. The nature of work, whether you work in the whatever sector of our economy you work, I know we have some folks here from the construction industry too, all industries present different hazards and different dangers that need to be dealt with. And they need to have smart policies in the workplace, but smart policies also in the city council, certainly up at the state legislature, and in the federal government too, to address them. But work doesn't need to be made unnecessarily risky, doesn't need to become deadly because of the lack of safety protocols, safety and workplace safe protocols that are in place that can help avoid those. So we have to continue to do everything that we can to advocate for those. We have to do everything possible to make sure that when we see corporations and we see government at times putting profits over the safety of people, that we speak out against and we pass smart policies that helps protect New York City and New York State workers every day while they're out there doing their job for us and for our city. So thank you all, for everybody, and we appreciate you coming out today. And we'll be out here, of course, in the days and the weeks and the months to come and next year too, making sure we're doing everything we can to advocate for workplace safety. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Vinny. So the next part of the commemoration I often think is the most important. And as many of you know, when we hear about workplace fatalities, either on the news or maybe when we read about it in the paper, all too often the name of the worker is unknown. And frequently, many of the fatalities go completely unacknowledged publicly. What we're going to do today is make sure that those names do not go unspoken. We're going to make sure that those names are said aloud, that those workers who strive to provide for their families and go home to their families at the end of the day, that those workers who didn't make it home that day, that those names are said and those workers are remembered. So as many of you have participated in this in the past know, what we have towards the front of the stage by my colleague Kate and my daughter Frances are flowers that have the names of the, I would say, almost 40 workers in New York City who died over the course of the last year since we last met on Workers' Memorial Day. And I would ask everybody to participate in this, to come up towards the stage, to take a flower. We have a microphone. Make sure the name is read aloud, and then you can place the flower up here in the front on the stage. So we'll be getting set up for a moment, but I ask you to please come up and form a line near Kate and Frances, and make sure these names do not go unspoken. Thank you very much. So she was just like an all-white cat.
Marcus Alcantara Hernandez.
Salinal Hawk, age unknown.
Alex Patricio Waltuna, 30 years.
Nazim Berry, 36 years.
Dale West, 49 years.
Sarah McNally, 41 years old.
Frederick Whiteside, 43.
Kevin Rawlings, 31. Young Chin Sun, 64.
Mario Garcia, 28.
Bernardo Gonzalez Perez, 63.
Jen Z. Chow, age unknown.
Christiana Nafral, 63.
Unknown delivery worker.
Marco Antonio Bellico, 25 years old.
Andy Donaldo Gonzalez Gomez, 19.
Victor Sahon, age unknown.
Michael Rodriguez, 38.
Bassam Khatib, 35.
Peng Cheng Li, age unknown.
Jonathan Diller, 31.
Andres Santiago Gana, age 22.
Juan Romero Vasquez, age unknown.
Victor Manuel Genoa, 23.
Juan Aguilar
Rosas, age 47.
Cesar Linares Morales, age unknown.
Menor Alfredo Capir Velasquez, age 21.
Alexis Avalar Alvarado, age unknown. Ed Hermindo Cervantes Felipe, age unknown.
Juan Guzman Argamanco, age unknown.
Myrena Bismarck, age unknown.
Juan Idelfonso Tamay Gansi, 33.
Olivia Mills, age 61.
Unknown name, 31 years old.
Maria Victoriano, age unknown.
Maria Francisca Cristobal, age 32.
Salvatore Simone, age unknown.
Robert Larson, 63 years old.
Juan Francisco Geronimo, age unknown.
Hilario Joseph, 57.
And are there any others? Okay. Thank you, everyone. As we close out our program, I'd like to invite Andrew and Tom from the International Union of Elevator Constructors to come up once again and play. They very graciously gave us their time today. Both very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Sisters and brothers, work safe. Never stop fighting for workers. Thank you.